Here today with Ray Aguilar Jr. of the El Paso Tigers. How you doing today, Coach?
I'm doing well. Like I was telling you a minute ago, it's been a while before you and I.
Yeah, the last time we talked was right when all of the uh, COVID stuff was hitting, and we really didn't know what things were going to look like. So let's put the conversation there. Turned out very strange season you had to play in 2020 with limited to no fans in the stands. Kind of walk us through what that was like.
Yeah, it was different, that's for sure. We came into the season, we were a new staff. We really didn't know the kids' names. We started practicing with them the first week of practice, so we had to learn names on the fly. We had about 33 kids that finished out the season from freshmen to seniors. So those last 2 or 3 games, we had I believe it was 7 true freshmen starting on varsity that year, just so that we could finish out the season and let those seniors play. Um, my big thing is culture, and from a culture aspect, it was almost impossible to instill a culture at this, with COVID, with all the restrictions, with, not being able to use a locker room, or, not being able to even, give high fives or things like that. So it was definitely different. It was difficult. It was a challenge, and I am glad it's over. Yeah, right now we're finally at a point where I'm happy, where I've been able to instill culture. This past off season, we've been able to build and start working towards what I guess like in my football programs, and so I'm excited for that. These kids have been awesome. They've really embraced what we're trying to do here, and so it's an exciting time, and we're excited for this 2022 season.
Now you just had your orange and black spring game a couple of weeks ago. You've seen your kids in the other sports. You've seen them around the weight room. Now you've seen them hit each other with pads. What do you think going to look like this fall?
We're excited. Like I said, it's always nice when you have a 3-year starting returning quarterback. That's always a luxury to have. He was real frustrated during the spring game because I didn't let him run, and he's kind of a runner. So he was frustrated during that. But as a team, we look really good. We have a lot of the pieces, I think, to make a run at the playoffs, and that's kind of been our goal since I've gotten here is to make the playoffs, get into the playoffs, and then go and compete at that level. So that's I think we have the team, and I think we have the pieces to go ahead and do that. It's just now a matter of let's go do it.
All right. Now, one of the things I'm trying to do in this series of interviews is just kind of illustrate how the coach winds up where he winds up. So, if you don't mind, kind of walk us through your coaching history and how you wound up there at El Paso.
Okay. I graduated from UT Austin, so I was living in Austin at the time. My last year of college, I was offered, I guess, a coaching position at a private school in Austin, Hyde Park High School, with Dean Campbell. And so I was able to go and coach with him for a year, which was a really, really positive experience for me. Anybody that knows Dean Campbell knows that he's an awesome guy, an awesome person. I really enjoyed that time at Hyde Park. The next year, my wife actually got into dental school in Houston. And so we moved to Houston. I met a guy by the name of Johnny Sanders, who was the head football coach, who had just accepted the head football coaching role at Westbury High School in Houston. Hired me on at Westbury. Again, another really good coaching staff, a really good group. Josh Kirkland, Ramon Smith, and then Johnny, like being able to work with all those guys at Westbury. The very next year, he was offered a position at Klein Forest High School in Houston, and asked me to come with them. So we spent a couple years at Klein Forest. They've always been, when I worked with Coach Sanders, it was always rebuild, I guess, programs where previous years they hadn't done well, and they were looking for a spark and bringing back culture, bringing back some tradition and some winning winning some games ultimately at those schools, and we were able to do that. The very next year, I did 2 years at Climb Forest. My wife was about to finish dental school. We knew we were always going to move back to El Paso. That's where we're from. And San Elizario opened up. San Elizario was a school that always had struggled, I guess, in winning football games. That wasn't, I guess you would say, a super desirable place to go and coach football. But I was excited about the challenge to be able to go in, meet those kids, and like I said, establish the culture and the different things that I wanted to do. So I took a shot at it. I was only 25 or 26 years old at the time. I said, I'm going to apply. I'm just going to see what happens. And if it works out for the best, it's meant to be, and we'll go back. And so I applied. I ended up getting it. We did really well first year. We were able to take the team to the playoffs. We were able to have a winning season. It was the first time in about 20 years. Did some really, really cool things. Second year made the playoffs, did some great things. Then El Paso High opened up. If anybody who knows El Paso knows, it's kind of split. There's the west side and then there's the east side of El Paso, and it's split about 45 minutes in between. So I lived on the very far west side. San Elizario is right outside of El Paso on the very edge, I guess, of the east side. So the drive there was about an hour one way for me. And so my wife had gotten pregnant. We were going to have kids. It was all in the plan. Everything was going well. El Paso High opened up. I wanted to be closer to home. I loved El Paso High because, it was a school that my entire family went to. I was the only oddball that didn't go to El Paso High School. The tradition of the school, the stadium, there was a lot of appealing things about coming to El Paso High. And so I applied for that position, got it, and now here we are today. Unfortunately, when I was hired, that's right when COVID hit. And so, it's been an interesting ride the last couple of years, like I said, but now we are in an off season. We're able to establish the culture and the different things that I like to do. And so hopefully we see some big time improvements this year.
Yeah, you mentioned several coaches that were mentors to you as you came along. And as a coordinator and especially as a head coach, you now have that role of being mentor to the coaches that coach with you across all the programs, both at San Elizario and now at El Paso High. Talk a little bit about the role of coaching coaches.
So I've always had this this plan where I'm going to hire guys that are smarter than me. I'm not the smartest guy at all, and I don't claim to be. I don't take that title. What I do though is I try to find people that are smarter than me. And so when I got to San Elizario, my first head coaching job, I was looking for people that were smarter than me. And one of those guys was David Cortinas, who was at Riverside High School at the time. I needed an offensive coordinator, and ultimately I needed an offensive line coach. And my dad was the one. So going back again, my dad, grandfather, uncle were all high school football coaches here in El Paso. My dad knew David Cortinas from, I guess, way back when. So I gave Coach Cortinas a call, and I could immediately tell he's somebody that we would get along, that we had the same philosophy and the same ideas of doing things. And then, of course, he's a really smart football coach. So found him. He was smarter than me. He was a really good one. He's with me now still at El Paso High. And then at the same time, when I got the job at San Eli, there was a man there by the name of Robert Herrera who had just come over from Fabens High School. I believe it was a year or two prior to when I got there. And so Coach Herrera was a super smart guy, very good defensive mind, was coaching at that Canutillo football team from, I don't remember the year, back in the early 2000s, where they made a deep run into the playoffs, which is rare here in El Paso. He was the linebackers coach there. And so when I found out he was there, that was another guy that, again, smarter than me, better football coach than I was. And so I was able to find him and use him as a mentor. And now he's the head coach at San Elizario. So it hasn't been so much me mentoring guys as it is guys mentoring me and finding guys that can help me and teach me how to be a better football coach.
All right. Well, one more question for you before I let you go, Coach. Can you tell me one thing about you that most people don't know?
I think I'm a sugar addict. I love cakes and cakes and brownies and cookies and cupcakes and things like that. I cannot have a meal without having something sweet to go with it. So I'll go anywhere I go, Subway or anywhere. I got to have a cookie or got to have a cupcake. And so actually, like I said, David Cortinas, he was a friend of mine, we've become friends over the years. He actually cooks my lunches nowadays. I pay him to meal prep for me. And with my lunches, he already learned to bring me like a cake or a cupcake or some pie or something like that. So that way I'm happy. So yeah, I'm a sugar addict. That's the one thing I guess people don't know about me.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you very much for your time today, and best of luck in the upcoming season.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. Appreciate you having me.